Welcome to the Nuclear Snail channel. This time I have another product review for you. A couple of disclaimers before we start. Disclaimer number 1. When doing your own cutting, chopping, thrusting and so on tests, keep in mind that it's very easy to hurt yourself with a blade like this if you don't know exactly what you're doing, especially if you're a sofa warrior. I myself am a part-time sofa warrior. I only occasionally do cool stuff like chopping stuff, and my cutting technique is not on point whatsoever. So do not judge these blades by just what you see me achieving with them in terms of penetration and whatnot. Because again, I'm not doing this very often, I'm not the strongest dude in the world, I just do this kind of stuff occasionally. Which brings me to my next point. Have been watching the hell out of Scalagrim's channel recently, so cheers to Scalagrim for that amazing video content. And if you guys want to see someone who is good at chopping and cutting and thrusting, then watch Scalagrim. So let's start with the Parabellum, which I have in my hand right here. The Parabellum, as in be ready for war, or just ready for war in Latin. Here's the blade. I will skip all the technicalities like exact length of the blade, blah blah blah. You can see all of that on the Zombie Tools website, which is linked in the video description. The blade, in my opinion, is one of the most awesome blades ever. Let's go over the details right here. Here in the back, you have a lanyard hole. And there goes the leather wrapping on this really nice grip. It lies really naturally in the hand. I really like the way it handles, and after having chopped with it a bit, holding this blade is one of the most natural things to me now, because it's, again, the handle design is really awesome. And this leather wrapping is super high quality, and it's really grippy. And it just stays in your hand. As for the build quality of the entire thing, it's really supreme. You can see right here that it is, of course, full tang. Those handle parts right here are really flush with the central piece, which builds the blade and the tang. I really like this scratched up effect right here. Same as this oxidation effect right here. I think they achieve it using some sort of an acid on the blade, I'm not sure. This effect looks amazing. It does rub off a bit through intense use, but I think it actually emphasizes the whole thing, because that's exactly what happens. I'm blocking my face right here because the camera will otherwise focus on the face. Let's check out the edge right here. The edge, as you see it right now, is with a tiny bit amount of damage after all the stuff I've done with it that you will see later in the video. So it's really not a lot of damage that it has taken. You can see a bit here and there, but all in all, it's really nice. I gotta say, this is a high quality steel. I'm not a steel variety expert or whatever, but as far as I know, this is 5160 steel, spring steel, and it shows that its quality is really high. I've been prying with this, I've been chopping with this, I've been thrusting into the concrete floor with the point a bit because I'm stupid and did it on an accident when disassembling the sofa. So all of this did not leave a lot of damage to the blade, and quite honestly I believe that this is pretty much indestructible. As the Zombie Tools guy said, it's spring steel, not magic, but you know, for something not made of magic, it's pretty damn tough. The entire idea behind this Parabellum blade was to have something that packs quite a punch, has a lot of stopping power, is really usable as an all-around tool, not just a zombie self-defense weapon, which it is. You can chop wood and whatnot nicely with this, or yeah, destroying sofas. And at the same time, it has quite a lot of stopping power, especially for its size. Its weight is, I would say, comfortable. It doesn't feel too heavy. It does feel hefty for something that still could be considered a knife. This is a bolo knife or a mini machete. It is hefty, but it's not too heavy. It's kind of reassuring if, you know, you would be fighting against zombies. It's enough to know that if you whack a zombie with this, then that zombie won't be approaching you anymore. At the same time, the blade length fits nicely onto your thigh, and you can just EDC that thing. You can carry it around all the time in a scenario where that would be necessary or wanted. Obviously, don't just go into the city with it, unless, you know, your country and state allow for that kind of thing. But in a zombie apocalypse scenario, you could be just carrying this around in this nice sheath, which does not come painted like this. I have distressed it or post-apocalyptically painted it, whatever, and changed it a bit, as you can see right here by the presence of the screw. But anyway, this fits nicely onto your thigh, and it doesn't hinder your movement a lot. It's also not too heavy when you carry it around. So I would say for the original design intent, they achieved the purpose really nicely. It's a nice EDCable blade. It's not too large. At first I was a bit skeptical about how it performs, how it handles, if this size is enough, but yes, it definitely is. And while it's certainly not packing the stopping power of a full-sized machete, this is more than enough. And yeah, I really like this blade. Let's move on to the Traumahawk. Here's the Traumahawk, which is a tomahawk, and it comes in a nice Kydex sheath like this. By the way, all their blades come in Kydex sheath, and you can also buy upgraded leather sheaths. But I like Kydex ones more anyway, looks more tactical. So this right here, as you can see, is secured like this, and you just pull on this rubbery cord and set it free. Then you pull it out, spike first. And here is the Traumahawk. And this is again after having endured some abuse. The little bit of rust that is on there, it doesn't come like this. It's just me having left it in a wet condition. You can see a wee bit of rust right here. That doesn't bother me, but obviously I will not let it rust more because I just like it too damn much. So you can also see some slight edge damage right here, but again, nothing I was willing to throw at it could really damage it. While I really like this side, I am actually, I think, even a bigger fan of this spike. And even after it being blunted, dulled a bit by all the testing I've done, just pressing against it slightly already hurts. It's super sharp. It's extremely sharp. And this, as you will see later in the video, goes through helmets, it will go through some light armor, or if you're having a great chopping, thrusting, striking technique, maybe even through thicker armor. And it will definitely go through zombie skulls. So holding this in your fist, it being a top-heavy tool, feels like you definitely pack enough punch to kill whatever zombie that is coming at you. Okay, so holding this feels like the power of Odin. It's just great. The downside to this, as compared to the other blade, the Parabellum, is of course that just by the fact of it being a tomahawk, it's a bit more of a pain in the ass to carry around. Certainly this sheath helps, and they solved this problem of how do you sheath a tomahawk in the modern day and age really nicely. But you would still carry it around in a loop like this, and then just to deploy it, you would have to pull it out, remove the sheath, and so on and so forth. So it has a bit of a disadvantage in that regard compared to the Parabellum, which is actually a stupid comparison because we're literally comparing an axe with a large knife here. But anyway, but yeah, it does have that stopping power, as you will see in the video. So which one of those would I take into the zombie apocalypse with me? Well, if the only thing I would be allowed to take with me would be one of these blades, I would go with the Traumahawk. Just for its devastating stopping power, and yes, you can also use it as a tool for other things, but if that would be the only means of defending myself against the zombies, I would definitely take this. It's just more destructive. However, if I was taking some other sort of weapon with me to defend myself against the zombies or the mutants or whatever else might come at you in the apocalypse, let's say I would have a rifle, then as a sidearm I would carry the Parabellum. Because it's so nice and easy to carry, you almost don't notice it. You know, for someone used to carrying weapons, this is practically unnoticeable. As for the build quality and all of that on both of those weapons, I just have to say one thing: it's top shelf. Like, it doesn't get any better. I've seen some reviewers point out the fact that in general zombie tools or weapons are usually on the more heavier side than, for example, a Renaissance rapier, but yes, they're not designed to do this and quick thrusting, nor are they designed to be purely used as, you know, weapons against other human opponents. For the fantasy setting of you fighting against zombies, which will not try to outmaneuver you with their own fast weapon strikes, and even for fighting, let's say, raiders or whatever, this would still be great. For one particular reason, because look at the thickness of this. Don't focus on my camera, focus on the blade. So here's the back of the blade, here's the front, and here you can see it better actually on the back. So what you're looking at are 4.5 millimeters of steel. This is super thick, and as you will see in the video where I'm prying the sofa apart, it bends, it doesn't break, and it's really difficult to break this. So the only two occasions where I've seen a Zombie Tools blade break was one Skelegrim shooting it with a sniper rifle, and two is the zombie guys themselves deliberately trying to break it, almost killing the cameraman. This is indestructible, and for that reason it can, in my opinion, be forgiven that it's a bit heavier than it could have been, and all of that said, it is not too heavy. In my opinion, this feels great. That's exactly how I imagine the weight and the heft of a survival tool, which inspires confidence. Okay, so that has to be said. And other than that, I don't really have anything else to say about the build quality. It's just top freaking shelf. I wouldn't also know any other company doing these many and these good sort of zombie survival themed blades in this post-apocalyptic aesthetic. And yeah, the post-apocalyptic aesthetic is really great. That's post-apocalyptic stuff done nicely. This one actually could have been an elvish blade from a fantasy film or game or whatever, just by the shape of it, especially with the handle. Just the fact that these guys know how to make blades, and instead of just saying, oh, it's post-apocalyptic, so we'll just let it rust and make it like fall apart on all seams and whatnot. No, this is a top quality product from whichever perspective you look at it. So if you're looking for something that combines great looks, great purposefulness, and great efficiency, a supreme build quality, then look no longer than in the second link in the video description. You can check out these and more blades from Zombie Tools on their website. That's it for me rambling in this video. Now I will just let you watch me chopping stuff, destroying stuff and so on with these blades. So until the next time, have fun watching the destruction, support me on Patreon, that's the first link in the video description, and here comes the chopping. Okay, so first of all, we do a stab. And what else did you expect? Nom 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 nom. So here is my girlfriend's grandma, and she is gonna have a lot of Rotkohl to cook some nice German food after this. And now let's try the spike of the Traumahawk. Oh yes, it does. Oh my. So here is the damage to the rod coil. And this jockey's helmet is, well, here is my hand from the inside. A hard hat, like a construction worker would have. Of course it went right through. Oh, and that just split the helm in half. Well, on one side at least. This didn't go in that deep, but it's also a really sturdy helmet. They actually replaced the steel helmets with these, for a good reason. Let's try again. So, if you're a zombie looking for protection against this, wear a helmet like this. And the third hit went this deep into the helmet. And considering the padding inside, I don't think it would penetrate the zombie skull. But again, these helmets are hardcore. So, as I said, I'm not the best axe and swordsman and so on. I don't do this often, if at all, but I can't get through this helmet. Here is our chop. Nice and deep. Here is the entire length of that chop. So of course it goes right through. And now let's try the spike without a helmet. Just for fun. Well, and here is a thick knee protector with padding behind it. Let's see if I can get through this plastic. Oh yes, I can. In fact, that went all the way through. You can see the exit hole right here. That was quite a weak hit on my part, but it still went right in. That was better. Yep. That's an amazing blade. Now let's try with the jockey helmet. Yep. That jockey helmet doesn't protect against zombie tools whatsoever. Here is the cut. It just went like it was nothing. And here is the cut in the pumpkin. Now let's try to cut through this water bottle. Yep. Now let's do the same with a water bottle without pressure in it. So this is water without any gas. Now let's try the same with the Traumahawk. As you can see here, there is a small cut on the side. Well, my technique sucks, but the blade rules. As you can see here, right there is where it went through. It was just my aim that is off, that's why this bottle is still not in two separate pieces. Now Grandma also needs some firewood, so we're gonna split this using the Parabellum. and a so-called batoning technique, which is where you wedge a blade into your firewood like this, and then you do this. Easy. Don't even need to baton it. So this is also an amazing tool, in the literal sense of the word. And now let's split the other half of the wood using the Traumahawk. There we go. So as you see, this obviously has no problem going through wood. And now let's try with a piece of thick plywood. I don't think this will go through, but it's interesting to try. It actually did go through. Wow. This spike is really cool. There we go. Here's the tip. And for good measure, here is a piece of 2mm aluminum. No problem. So this spike really doesn't mess around. Wow. And now to some really abusive testing. This is an old frying pan. Admittedly, this is a thin, cheap frying pan. I don't think it would go through like a really thick one, but regardless, wow. Don't wear frying pans as helmets. Well, same result. And here are some aluminum profiles, and I'm gonna hit them with the X side of things. That's probably gonna bend. Wow! I actually chopped through aluminum with this Tomahawk. It's almost entirely through. That was fun. Let's do this again. Well, that was a weak sauce hit on my side, but still. And one more time. Oh, Jesus. So this went all the way almost to the neighbors. So should have worn protective glasses here. Let's see if I can chop this from the wrist. I am a powerful Viking, and I shall use the resources provided to me by Odin in form of this animal.
Sofa.
Sofa. As you can see, it's flexing, but it's also bending right back, so it doesn't remain bent. Oh, Jesus. Okay, you can also just whack stuff with the backside if you don't want to compromise the blade. It packs quite a punch. I, Prince Snailheart, have conquered this vicious monster. And yeah, I really like using the backside for stuff like this, because you can zerschmettern the thing at hand without dulling your blade on potential metal parts in whatever it is you're destroying. So, yep. So yeah, that's done with the back side. And now the front side, just for good measure. Yeah. I think the point is clear. And here is some nice loot. Some washers and a bolt with a nut. Ha!